Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Oh Shoot. I'm your host, Cowgirl Cass, and I have a very special guest on the podcast today. It is a beautiful day in October of 1890, and I am joined by Cactus Chuck.
It is a sincere honor and privilege to be here with you today. I didn't realize we were going to be talking in these southern accents the entire time, but I do not mind it.
It just kind of came over me when I hit that record button. I just knew I had to do it.
I might say our audience might mind it, though, if we continue this entire episode in southern accents.
I feel like I'm not very good at it either.
I told people I have moments of greatness and moments of utter stupidity when it comes to my southern accent.
Yeah. So guys, welcome back to another episode. Happy Halloween. This episode is coming out Halloween week, so I hope you guys, it's hard to know when to celebrate Halloween because I think it falls on a Wednesday.
I have no idea.
It's like, yeah, I think it might be exactly in the middle of the week or like on Thursday. So it's weird because it's like, when do you celebrate? The weekend before, the weekend after? So if you've already celebrated, fun. But I think technically it's the weekend after Halloween.
Yeah, we really aren't like huge Halloween people to begin with, but we have had a couple parties here and there that we got into character for. And if you are tuning into YouTube today, and which I do of all episodes, this would be one episode I would encourage you to tune into YouTube for, to see our lovely getup.
Our getup. Wait, isn't that a cowboy term? Like get up. Okay, yeah. So we hosted a murder mystery party this past weekend, and we are in our outfits from the party. We had different names for the party because we were playing like a specific character, but to you guys, it's Cowboy Cass and Cactus Chuck. So we're here to read your spooky photography stories. Not just spooky as in a client ghosted me, not just spooky as in, oh, my SD card broke. Spooky as in spooky. Yeah, we've got some. And there we have it. Thank you. Thank you for the background noise, Charlie. So, if you see a ghost fly across the screen at any point, just know 'tis the season. You never know what you're going to record on camera. And that's what we're going to be reading about today.
Keep your eyes peeled.
Keep your eyes peeled. Follow your intuition. So I wanted to talk quickly about our murder mystery party because it was a lot of fun. So like I said, these are our costumes from the party. I actually had heard about murder mystery parties on this podcast I listened to. It's called the What We Said podcast. And I think they did a party last year and it sounded like really, really fun. And I was like, you know what? I think I should do this. And I had like mentioned it to a few of my friends and they all were like so down for it. And my thing was like, I was afraid I wasn't going to have enough people to do it. Like, and people that like were actually going to get into it too.
Yeah, willing to kind of put their own pride aside and get into the characters.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing. So I ended up just being like, okay, I'm picking a date. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to find people. And I ended up finding 12 people, which is a lot for me. I don't have like tons of friends. So this was big deal. How you host the party, I actually like bought this like murder mystery pack. So there's like a website. There's like a lot of different websites, but I found one website that had kind of a theme that I wanted. Like I knew I wanted to do kind of like a Western theme just because I felt like it would be really easy to like dress up. So got the pack. Beforehand, I like sent everyone their characters and then we had the party and it was so much fun. Like I think it was like the perfect version of adult Halloween because it's like you're dressing up, but there's a reason you're dressing up because you like have this character, you're trying to solve a mystery. It's not just like, oh, we're dressing up and we're walking around or,
I was going to say our days of trick-or-treating have long come and gone.
Yeah.
So we are no longer able to do that.
No, exactly. So it was just a fun excuse to like dress up. Everyone can like get together and kind of all work together towards a common goal, which is catching the murderer. So the way that like the night worked, we all started by like everyone kind of got objectives right away. Like you have to talk to different characters, find out different details about stuff, but like no one had died yet. And I like obviously hosted the party, so I like planned everything. I never looked at like the clues or any of that stuff. So I had no idea who was going to die. I had no idea who the murderer was. So I was playing along too. I was obviously hosting, but I had no idea like who actually did it and like any of those important details. So you kind of start by having these objectives, talking to people, and then there's a point in the night where everyone's gathered around and then someone dies. Like the lights go out, someone died. For us, it was like one of our friends, his name's Will. He was kind of the perfect person to die. Like it just ended up like he was so good at being like the dead ghosts, like walking around. So that happened. And then the rest of the time you're trying to figure out who actually did it based on the evidence that's there, based on like what people are saying, how people are acting. And I even like you give money to everyone and then you can like bribe people and get people to talk or, get secrets out of people. So
one of the cool things about that is like in the mix of the murder mystery party, there's kind of like little side hustles that they incorporate into the game. And so there's stuff like you want to try to be like best dressed. There's awards for best actor, all these different things. But then with the money specifically, there was a piece where whoever was able to get the most money by the end of the night was given an award. And so that kind of like played a really big role into how you would interact with people. And when we were saying that Will was kind of like one of the perfect people to die is because he was hilarious. And he just himself already is very business oriented, very salesman, and he's really good at that. And so when he died in the scene of the game, he then was selling information, basically like when the person who dies, everybody else assumes that they have the most important information about the murder because of the fact that they would have been in the circles of whoever wanted to kill them. And so anytime anybody wanted to talk to Will, he was like, well, it's going to come at a cost type of deal. And then he would just be trading information for money the entire time. And he ended up with like a crazy amount of cash at the end of the game. It's all fake money, but it was right. Crazy.
Yeah. There's like fun little aspects where you're like working towards other goals. Our friend Anton ended up being the murderer. None of us had any idea. No one guessed that he was. He almost seemed like the obvious answer. So that was what was kind of hard about it. But yeah, it was so much fun. Everyone was like talking in their southern accents. Everyone was like so into it. And like, it kind of felt like a big, almost like I don't know if anyone has seen like Bachelor in Paradise where you're all like pulling each other for chats and like, you're just trying to like talk to people as much as you can, but you don't want necessarily everyone else to hear you because, you're whispering details about like, oh, I caught you gambling or I caught you cheating, so it was just kind of fun because everyone's like going off into these little groups and like trying to find out information from each other. So it was a lot of fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I've already put like 4 people on for like hosting their own parties. Everyone wants me to host it again next year. So
it was hilarious because at the beginning of the night, as we're like just opening up the kind of storyline and people are just starting to talk to each other, Cassidy's cousin was one of the people that my character was supposed to mix it up with the entire night because I had like fixed this this poker round, and this dude was this like cheating gambling player that as the owner of the saloon, I was trying to get the money back and everything. Long story short, her cousin and I are like off on the side, and we had this moment of looking into each other's eyes, and we're like, we are either going to go full into this or we're going to just like let it go. And we just started busting out laughing because we were both doing our best to use the southern accents and everything. If you knew David, her cousin, he's just a hilarious individual to begin with. And so I was literally in tears crying. Yeah. David and I were like trying our best to like get through it. And then once I went through that moment, there was no turning back. Yeah. I was hairy high stakes
Yes.
for the rest of the evening.
It was just funny to see everyone like so into their character. And like there was even a moment where I stopped and just was like listening to people and everyone was using their Southern accents. Like it was just like people were so into it. And I think that's what made it fun was like everyone was all into kind of like the storyline. So you have to make sure you're picking like the right group of people, you know, people that are going to really show up for even like everyone's outfits were so good. Like everybody was all into it. And I think that like made it so much more fun.
I feel like the house just felt perfect too because we really like decorated pretty well, put out a bunch of props and different stuff. I had like this old Western music playing in the background the entire night
I
too.
put up like a bunch of like wanted posters everywhere, kind of like decorated. I literally took like that like wheatgrass from outside. I just cut it and like put it in jars and stuff. So it did. Like, I feel like I went all out with the decorations too. So it really made like the room feel like a saloon. And yeah, it was so much fun. Like I said, 10 out of 10 would recommend hosting it.
The murderer got away. So
right. Murderer got away. So we have to do it again next year.
We have to solve the mystery.
Yeah. Well, should we get into some spooky stories?
I was just going to say, speaking of mysteries, it sounds like we've got some of our own from you guys that we need to get through.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I just have to warn you guys, these stories are a little bit scary. So if you don't like scary stuff, don't be listening. But it's not so scary that it's like you won't be able to sleep at night. I'm the type of person that I can't do stuff like that. So also, if you aren't watching on YouTube, we are going to be, some people did show photos of things they were talking about. So we are going to put those photos on the screen on YouTube. So like I said, might be a good time to tune in on YouTube.
Check it out.
All right. Kick us up.
If you want the whole story, gotta see the photos.
Wait, I think Charlie, for one of the stories, each of us needs to use our accent for only one story.
Oh goodness.
So you can pick and choose which one.
There's some long ones. I'm just gonna do it right away and get it out of the way then,
okay.
If that's gonna be the case. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to apologize for what's about to happen. So let's do it. When I was first getting started, someone asked me to photograph their wedding. Since it was my first wedding offer, I said yes without asking additional questions. Rookie mistake number 1. Only to find out it was a Halloween-themed wedding taking place on Halloween. No shade at all to the couple. You do you. But it was completely outside of my style. I find out the venue is a mortuary. When I arrived for the wedding, the ceremony is being held in the cemetery. At night, with absolutely no light whatsoever, besides a few candles being held by audience members. Excuse you, if you could hold it together over there, please.
You kind of sound like that Webkins guy that like discovers the gems. I know you don't know what I'm talking about, but someone listening knows exactly.
Was never on Webkins, so that is irrelevant. Let's get back to our wedding taking place in a cemetery.
In the cemetery, sorry.
I'm talking pitch black. Are you going to be able to listen to this?
Yes, I'm listening.
I'm talking pitch black. I had never done a wedding before, let alone use direct flash. Every shot had to be direct flash. Not to mention, I was setting up someone who wasn't part of the wedding, saw me, and started yelling at me about how disrespectful it was to have a wedding here. And I was trying to explain, I didn't know what I was getting into. There was literally nothing I could do. Like, I was hired to be here, so I need to take the wedding photos? Anyway, the reception was in the funeral home, mortuary, with almost no light at all. The ultimate fake it till you make it situation. Needless to say, the photos didn't turn out great, but I did my best to make them look creepy. I assume that's what the bride wanted. Luckily, I only charged a few $100 since it was my first wedding. Since then, every wedding I've done has been a breeze and the sun has been up.
Your accent, I applaud you. Good job, because that's hard to read that whole story with that accent. I feel like your accent's a little it almost sounds a little bit like those kids, like, you know, the kids that can't say like their like W's and R's.
Oh, a lisp? You think I had a lisp?
A little
in my Southern
bit,
accent?
yeah. But overall, you did great.
I'll be real. I don't think the Southern accent I just read that story in was the same Southern accent that I fell into during the party. And I don't know where the one that I just pulled came from, but
yeah, you were talking like very like low and deep and slow and kind of quiet.
I kind of had a little bit of like a Matthew McConaughey kind of picture in the back of my head that I was going for there.
Yeah.
I was just trying to picture Matthew McConaughey reading that
just
story.
Embody Matthew.
And Matthew, I'm sorry, I did not do it justice.
Okay, so let's talk about the story. A wedding in a cemetery, reception is in the mortuary, funeral home.
Yeah.
To me,
on Halloween.
Yeah, this is like, I understand like wanting a Halloween themed wedding. It's different doing it in like the actual locations where things take place.
I'm actually shocked that this place even allowed this.
It. And the cemetery too. I'm surprised that like they didn't get kicked out.
Yeah.
That's like actually so creepy. Like if I showed up, like I'm not even joking you, I would like leave if I saw... Oh, I just don't really like cemeteries. I don't know if I've talked about this, but...
Can we also back up that this was this person's first wedding?
Yeah, actually, like, having to shoot pitch black for my first wedding, I would probably quit the industry. Straight up.
And you're, like, showing up and it's a Halloween wedding on Halloween in a cemetery in a funeral home at night.
I don't understand why do you have to do it in the funeral home?
That's honestly, this just goes to show that you need to really do your research and vet your clients, because I would never do this. Yeah.
That is actually so crazy. And then you feel bad because this person like got yelled at by someone that was like saying they shouldn't be doing the wedding in the cemetery. It's like, you don't control that. You just show up. That's actually so, so crazy. Okay.
I mean, I hope it came out okay.
Yeah, honestly. I had one wedding where I had to shoot this ceremony in direct flash. It was like inside, the wedding was like in Vermont in this restaurant, which like it actually had a really, really good windows and everything, like, but the sun had already gone down. So it was like just shooting in a restaurant. It was so dark. And I had to use direct flash for all the photos. Like, it turned out good, but like, I feel like I only got a limited number of shots because I'm using direct flash. And I'm like, just, you know, it's different with flash for a ceremony. Yeah, it's very challenging. Okay. We shall move on. I'm not doing my accent for this story, so you can stop laughing because I know you're thinking about me doing it. Always trust your instinct as a photographer. One time a potential client reached out via Instagram about booking a portrait session to update their Tinder photos. I had received a silly request like this and done a session like this in the past, and it had been fine. So that was the only reason I was considering doing it again. The client told me they wanted photos at their parents' home and poolside near the Hoffman Estates area in Illinois. I wasn't super familiar with the area, but I was willing to hear them out for their vision. An attractive guy by a pool, weird flex, but okay, I guess. The person who inquired had very few followers on their Instagram profile, but had been following several hundreds of people. They also didn't have any photos posted to their feed, which was and should have been the first red flag. However, they were willing to pay the deposit and sign a contract with me. After the deposit had been paid and a contract had been signed, I had asked for the address for the session. We chose a date and time. As the session day came closer, I asked for the email of the client. To my surprise, the name on the email did not match their name on their Instagram profile, which was the second red flag. But we've all had a weird email, right? So I try not to think too much about it. I couldn't shake off the feeling about the entire thing in the coming weeks about it. And so I decided to randomly one day do a Google search of the address that they had sent the day or two before the session. Shockingly, and with a pit in my stomach, the address they had sent me was not for a house with a beautiful in-ground pool. The address was for an open plot of over 29 acres of land for sale on Zillow. No house, no pool, no place for these photos. I felt sick, but I was so happy I trusted my intuition and decided to look up the address. I ended up sending a screenshot of the Zillow listing and confronting the person, whoever they were, and blocked them immediately when I told them I knew what they were doing. Had I not known or just shown up to the session that day, who knows what would have happened. It was so scary, and I never have done a session like it again or met for a session with a client that I haven't met face to face or had a conversation with.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Crazy. Like, did this person really think that, like, you were just going to roll up to a plot of land? You know what I mean? Like, let's say if this person, like, didn't do the Googling, just showed up, like, if there was not a house at the address, I think all the dots would have connected. I would have just whipped it around and...
Yeah, don't even get out of the car.
Yeah, don't even get out of the car. Drive away. But that's actually crazy. And there were so many red flags, too. The Instagram profile, the email. So weird.
Yeah, I mean, specifically, I think because of it's just like a pretty low, like a low commitment session as far as like a person that's just trying to update their Tinder profile.
Yeah.
You don't really know the type of individual that's going to show up for something like that. So I think meeting beforehand too, like
would
pretty
be good.
Key.
Yeah.
That's like a pretty big, like,
yeah,
boundary that you should keep for yourself.
Yeah. And I can't imagine that this price point would even be worth, like, it probably was so, like, how much is someone willing to pay to update their Tinder profile?
I have no idea.
Yeah. That's, so strange. I'm glad you're okay, whoever submitted this.
Yeah, way to put two and two together and not put yourself in harm's way there.
Yeah, for real.
That's a pretty scary situation.
Very scary.
Very spooky. Thank you for submitting.
Yes. Thank you for having that spooky experience so we didn't have to.
And, well, I have earned my right to use my regular voice,
yes.
So I will do so.
All right.
I look forward to the moment when I hear your Cowgirl Cassidy? Cowgirl Cassidy?
Cowgirl Cass. I'll probably be towards the end of the episode.
I look forward to hearing from Cowgirl Cass.
Thank you.
Cactus Chuck is no longer. For context, I'm an American living in the UK because my husband is in the Air Force. I had a family session scheduled for 5:30 p.m. on a Sunday at Abbey Gardens, a stunning cathedral I frequently shoot at because of its beauty. Around 5 p.m., it started raining, so my husband dropped me off early to see if I could find a spot inside the cathedral to shoot, as I usually position the cathedral in the background of my shots. When I arrived, the cathedral doors were open, which I thought was great since I could scout for an indoor location. As I walked through this massive empty cathedral, I eventually made my way out the back to meet the family for our session. Sorry, I have something in my throat. We had agreed to meet in the garden area, but when I got there, the gate was locked. I headed back there. I headed back through the cathedral to try the other gate, and just as I re-entered through the back door, I heard the metal gates slam shut. Panicking, I sprinted towards the front of the cathedral. As I turned the corner of the long hallway, I saw the staff member locking the massive wooden doors for the night. I started shouting, "Hey, can you let me out?" Luckily, he heard me, peeked down the hall, and asked, "How did you get in here? We're closed." I explained the doors were open when I arrived. After a moment of confusion, he unlocked the gates and let me out. He even gave me a flyer with their new winter opening and closing times as we left. I was super embarrassed and honestly a bit terrified. I met up with the family short after and explained what happened. We all had a good laugh about it. I even offered them a refund or reschedule, and thankfully they opted to reschedule.
Could you imagine, like, well, you don't think they couldn't probably get out once the doors were locked? Like, you think that's like things are locked in and things are locked out? You know what I mean? Like, why would a lock be designed to like keep something in there as well?
Well, I mean, if it's only, it would totally depend on the type of lock that's in there, but usually you're able to get out.
Right. That's
but
what
the
I
thing
think.
is on those like old cathedral doors, it might just
Right.
be the type of interior latch that you have to have a key from the inside.
Right.
And so if those doors latch and it's key locked
Yeah.
from the inside, then there is no like deadbolt or just a regular like lock that you can flip.
Oh my gosh, that's so spooky. Like thinking about just being stuck in there and not being able to get out. Like you'd have to sleep there.
Yeah.
And wait until it opened. Oh my gosh, that would be the worst night's sleep of my life.
Yeah. Well, and that family would be on the outside too. And like, what just happened to this girl?
Well, it sounded like they didn't even know that she was there yet. Because she was scouting before they showed up.
Oh.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So she like went out to meet them and that's when she started to get locked in. That's so scary. Like the timing of that too. Like I always think about
if
that.
They would have assumed that she just never showed up.
Yeah. Like if the timing was just even like a little bit, if this person spent like even a couple more seconds, like at the garden, like, or just like walking a little bit slower, could have got locked in.
Yeah.
So crazy. Spooky.
I mean, we didn't get locked in a cathedral, but we almost lost our camera bag to getting locked in the cathedral in the middle of a wedding.
Yep. And yeah, we'll never leave a camera bag in a building again because that sucked.
We were only outside for maybe like 12 minutes.
Yeah. And it was like the priest had locked all the doors for the like cathedral, or I think it was like a chapel technically.
Yeah. Well, it was like for the area, it was their Catholic cathedral.
Yeah.
It just was a small building.
Yeah. It was like Charlie had to like go hunt down the priest and then ended up finding him as he was like going from one building to the other. Otherwise,
we would not have gotten our backpack.
Yeah, we wouldn't have gotten our backpack. Like, were our car keys in there or no?
Yeah, like all of our stuff.
Everything
Literally
was in
all
there.
Of our stuff. And
So,
and like the rest of our equipment, we had like one camera body because Cassidy was doing stuff out there.
But I had to change my battery.
Yeah.
Like, it was like really scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, then I think, oh, what if there was like a guest? What if like a mom like left to like go grab something from her car, came back and all of her stuff was locked in there? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels like our bag was sitting on a pew. Like it wasn't like it was like hidden. Like it was out in the open.
Yeah.
Like Buddy just wanted to get out of there.
Well, he was trying to change over for that next ceremony, but that was in a separate building later that day. But
True.
Your turn.
Okay. This is a scary photographer story straight from the small town of Alberta, Canada. I was hired by a local rodeo clown to take photos of his Mexican fighting bulls to promote his rodeos and events. If you aren't familiar, these bulls are bred to be as mean as possible and they're about 15,000 pounds or more. There was a fence between myself and the bulls at all times, so I wasn't too worried. Everything was going good and photos were looking great until he put a bull called Mad Chad in the fenced area for me to take photos of. I took a few photos and he was pushing into the fence a little bit, but I didn't think anything of it. All of a sudden, Mad Chad rammed towards me at full speed and broke through the pipe fence with enough strength that it actually flew into the air and right into me. I got fully knocked out unconscious and was laying on the ground, knocked out. My boyfriend had came with me to the shoot. I don't normally take him, and he watched as the bull was charging straight at my limp body. And somehow my boyfriend was able to run over to the bull, grab it by the horns, and push it out of the way. Seconds before, it would have trampled me. I broke my nose, had a giant concussion, and damaged my 2 front teeth so bad I had to have 2 root canals, and they are still loose to this day. Miraculously, I managed to throw my camera out of the way while I got knocked out and it barely had a scratch. The photos turned out great. I even had a few blurry photos of the bull coming towards me through the fence as I fell backwards. Going to rodeos now still gives me PTSD.
That's crazy.
That is so crazy. That's not even like spooky. Like, this is like the type of thing. It's not like actually spooky, but this is just like crazy.
Yeah, the fact that that's a bull that was like spooked enough to run through the fence.
Yeah.
And that pipe fencing is no joke unless the people didn't put it together correctly for that rodeo, which I guess is a possibility. But
it's actually so crazy that like you were just like unconscious on the ground.
And I also want to know, are you dating the Incredible Hulk? There's no reason, unless he was able to get that thing to start chasing him.
Yeah.
But if he actually grabbed that bull by the horns and redirected it,
right,
he is actually Superman.
Well, you know what they say about adrenaline.
I know what they say about adrenaline, but it has nothing to be able to handle I don't even know how many pound bull.
They said 15,000 pounds.
15,000. It might be 1,500. 15,000, Cassidy, is crazy.
It literally says 15,000 pounds or more. I can look it up. Wait, yeah, 15,000 pounds is a lot.
It'd be 1,500 pounds.
Wait, okay, I'll look it up.
But regardless, I'm not trying to get lost in the weeds with the...
No, I'm trying to get lost in the weeds.
Okay.
What is it called? The Mexican fighting bull?
A common, average weight of a bull.
No, it's a Mexican fighting bull.
Average.
They're like bred to be really... Did you not listen to the story? They're bred to be really intense.
I get it. But they're not 15,000 pounds.
You don't think?
No.
Oh my gosh, they're so scary looking. Wait, why doesn't it say? Oh, yeah. It says 900 to 1,500 pounds.
Yeah, 1,500, which they just probably accidentally added an extra zero. So it is what it is.
15,000 would be so crazy.
Still, a insanely aggressive, spooked bull. Obviously, these Mexican fighting bulls are pent up, caged, aggravated in those cages, and then people do all that stuff at rodeos. But the fact that thing broke through that fence and then your boyfriend grabbed it by the horns, that's crazy.
That is crazy. Marry that man. He's protecting you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Also, I didn't know they were called a rodeo clown.
Yeah.
Why are they called clowns?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know the history of rodeos.
Yeah.
I may look like I would know.
We actually I am Cassidy the rodeo clown.
I was gonna say I may have the appearance of one that would know the history of rodeos at this point in time, but I definitely do not.
The only thing worse than taking too many photos while you're shooting is getting home and then having to edit all of them. Here's some ways to speed up your editing workflow without losing any quality in your work. Today, I want to introduce Aftershoot Edits 2.0. You can experience the most consistent edits straight out of Aftershoot. One of my favorite things about Aftershoot is their upgraded white balance and exposure AI models. Even if your lighting varies during your session and you have a lot of drastic changes, Aftershoot's able to instantly fix any blown out highlights, murky shadows, and overall, this feature allows you to have balanced photos no matter what your lighting conditions were. Another way to speed up your editing workflow is by using AI masking in Aftershoot Edits 2.0. This feature allows you to selectively edit your images through masking. With AI masking, Aftershoot can automatically select your subjects and adjust them to really make them pop in your image. Another great way to save time while you're editing is to use Aftershoot's advanced cropping and straightening. This tool allows you to customize and select any aspect ratio, and it even automatically crops in your photos so that the focus is more on your subject. It also can automatically straighten your photo, which is going to save you so much time in the long run. Say goodbye to spending way too much time editing your photos and use Aftershoot Edits 2.0. Aftershoot has an exclusive offer for all Oshoot listeners, so go to the link in the description of this episode to find out more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and now back to the show.
Okay, I'm going to read this next story too. This is the scariest thing that's ever happened to me as a photographer. I was hired to photograph a wedding, and my sister, who was my second shooter, had gone ahead to the town hall to capture the decor while I was staying behind at an old abandoned water pumping station with the bride and groom for their portrait session. The bride had sewn her late grandfather's handkerchief into her wedding dress, a personal tribute to keep his memory close. The location was perfect, though a little eerie. The fading light of the day created stark contrast, and the building, though beautiful in its decay, was desolate. I set up a shot with the couple standing in front of the massive open doors of the water station. The interior behind them was pitch black, casting them in a dramatic silhouette against the crumbling structure. Everything seemed fine during the shoot, but later, when I was editing the photos, I noticed something unsettling. In one of the shots where the couple was framed by the open doors, I spotted a figure standing in the darkness behind them. A man. He wore glasses and a sweater with a logo on the chest. My heart skipped a beat. I knew for a fact that there was no one else in that building with us. We were completely alone in the middle of nowhere. I zoomed in, adjusted the exposure, and the figure had become much clearer. It wasn't a shadow or a trick of light. It was undeniably a man standing right next to the bride, just out of sight when I took the photo. Later, my sister returned from the town hall where she had been photographing the decor, and as we reviewed the images together, I mentioned the strange figure I had captured. She then went pale when I showed her the image. "That's impossible," she whispered. At the town hall, they had a small memorial set up. There was a photo of the bride's grandfather. He wore glasses and a sweater with a logo on it. It looks just like the man in your photo. A cold chill ran down my spine. The bride had said she wanted her grandfather to be with her in some way on her wedding day, and now it seemed like he had been, but not in the way that any of us expected. The more I looked at that photo, the clearer it became. We had been alone in that decaying building, except we hadn't been.
Wow.
What, do you have any words to say? Are you just speechless?
I want to see the photo.
I know, I do too. I don't think this person may have sent it to me, but I didn't see it if they did. So I would definitely be interested in seeing the photo.
Yeah, whoever sent this photo, like, resend it so it's at the top of the list.
Yeah. The problem is I get a lot of DMs, and like a lot of the times if it says someone sent a photo, I don't always look at it because like I'm not trying to like look at random photos from people. But this would definitely be very interesting to see. It's also crazy that you have like photo evidence too.
Yeah.
Like that's so crazy.
Well, that's what I was just kind of sitting there thinking about. I was like, that moment when they're reviewing their photos and then show it to was it the sister?
Yeah.
Like that sinking feeling.
Yeah. Of like
sitting there looking at that photo and putting two and two together on who it is in the back of that photo.
Yeah. It's actually so crazy. And I wonder what the couple, like what the bride would say about it too. Because that's like her grandpa. So
did you Photoshop the individual out of the back of the photo? Did you send that photo to?
What are we doing with that? Do we do like an original version and then do we Photoshop out, or do we not Photoshop out? Because like, what if they come to get you?
Well, because I mean, at some point, unless you didn't send this photo in the gallery or portfolio back to the couple, wouldn't they just go wild that there was
right? Yeah, I feel like there's so much more to the story. How did the couple react?
Yeah, what was the family's reaction when they saw that photo? They probably didn't see the photo based on the way that they're talking about it.
Maybe this was recent. Maybe they haven't sent it yet.
Yeah, maybe they're still working on getting it back.
Yeah, that would be so crazy.
Wow. That's
Next
wild.
one's you, Cactus Chuck.
I do bridal makeup and also am a wedding photographer.
You do bridal makeup?
Nope.
You just said you do bridal makeup.
This individual that submitted this story.
Okay. Sorry.
I was booked for both for a bride. I had gotten to the house to start makeup at 7. That is early. Very early.
Yeah, sometimes you have to start really early.
Too early.
No, Charlie, like hair and makeup start so early for weddings.
Too early.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay, what if there's 8 people?
Yeah, I know. I understand how it works. That's ridiculous. I was setting all my things up, getting organized, and freshening myself up before everyone arrived. What time did you get your hair and makeup done for our wedding?
Not that early, because I just had makeup. I did my own hair. I think it started maybe around 8.
Really?
Yeah, because it was like a bunch of people had to get it done. It was like my siblings, my mom, my grandma.
Anyways, I don't want to get sidetracked. I'm ruining this individual story.
You're just having like an awakening as a male. You're realizing.
Yeah, it's just way too early. I was setting all my things up, getting organized, and freshening myself up before everyone arrived. I had gone to use the bathroom in the bridal suite. There was a pretty large old vintage vanity after I used the bathroom. I was checking out the vanity and the products that were provided. I had my own products too. Anyways, I was looking for about a minute, and I looked up in the reflection of the mirror to the old to the bedroom. Sorry, the way this is worded is a little funky. And I looked up, and in the reflection of the mirror to the bedroom was a woman. She was older, maybe mid-40s. I turned around, obviously scared, because I hadn't heard her come in, and she didn't say anything. I set the products down that I was looking at and was going to approach her when she suddenly turned and walked out of the room. Fast forward to after makeup was done, I was washing my brushes and hands in the kitchen sink. I happened to glance up at the fridge, and I swear to you, there was an obituary card tacked up. I pulled it down, and to my horror, that same lady I had seen in the mirror, her picture was on the very front of that card. I stared at that card for a solid 5 minutes. Not a single minute went by for the rest of that week, just feeling sick to my stomach. I never did ask the bride or anyone else about the lady. I think I just convinced myself I had imagined her. I also never did find out if the bride and the lady that had passed were related to each other.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And like, you're the only one that like saw that too. Like, that is so crazy. Do you remember last Halloween, our last Halloween episode, the story of like the hotel, like the person that was in the hotel, and then they like saw the picture too? That's actually so scary. I'm like, why was that picture was it on the fridge?
Well, it was like an obituary.
Okay.
Which is like what an obituary card is, right?
So you'd have to assume that if it's like at a wedding venue, like maybe it's intentionally put up or something.
Was it at the wedding venue or was it at this person's house?
It said, I don't know. I don't even know if it said.
I had gotten to the house
to
start makeup at 7, so I'm assuming this is. Oh wait, but then it said bridal suite, so I don't know. But I'm assuming maybe it's just a house they rented out. Maybe
it's like one of those venues that feels like a house, but
I have no idea.
Okay, either way, interesting. That is so insane. I'm like kind of speechless. Here's my thing. I have no idea how I would react. I think I would actually like go tell like 5,000 people that story right away. Like, which I feel like is not the best move because it's like it's someone's wedding day, but that's actually so crazy that you just like saw someone in the reflection.
Yeah, it's hard because you don't want to like freak people out in the middle of a wedding.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you just experienced something that was very out of the normal.
Yeah.
Paranormal.
Very spooky. Okay. Here we go for the next one. This story is why every photographer needs to trust their instincts while shooting. My friend was shooting this family and the husband was horrid. The mom and her kids showed up so cute and they were lovely. About 5 minutes late, the dad shows up and he's in sweatpants and a hoodie with his hood up and a freaking walking stick. They're shooting in a field and the dad said this is so ugly and that he wanted to shoot by the creek where it's dark and there's nobody around. Weird. My friend was nervous because he was already weird, but the wife acted like she liked the idea of being around the water, so she said okay, and they walked down there. He didn't even come with them, though. So my friend was rushing, trying to get a few decent pics for them. My friend was rushing to get a few decent pics for the mom with her and her kids because the dad was ruining every shot. A few minutes later, she hears him screaming and she turns around and he's running right at her full speed with the stick up like he's going to stab her. He got so close and then stopped, saying that he was trying to scare away a dog so it wouldn't attack his kids. The dog was a golden retriever and it was like 50 feet away. My friend was so freaked out, she said, nope, I'm leaving after that, and she did. Last month, he was charged with murdering a random stranger that was walking on the road. Always trust your instincts.
My word.
And there actually is a photo to show for this story.
Oh no.
The photo, I've like blocked out everyone's faces, but you can literally see the dad with the walking stick just like standing there. Like, did you see it?
No, I didn't.
You should look at it. That's why I'm talking about the photo, for you to look at it. Basically, it is a cute family. There's a family of 3. Like, they're just smiling, so cute. The mom like is in a dress and boots, and then literally like the dad is, I would say, like 3 or 4 feet away from them. Literally sweatpants, hood up,
my word.
walking stick, like scary, like not even like posing. Like the family, the kids, the mom, like they're all walking and smiling, and the dad is literally just standing there. Like, it's actually so crazy. Did you find the photo?
Yeah, I did. That's pretty creepy.
I'll show it to the YouTube listeners. You will be able to see the photo. It's just like eerie almost. Like the way that the light is hitting the dad, you can't even see his face, but it is so spooky, and I can only like imagine like how it was in real life. You know, like even this photo is giving me the creeps.
Yeah. I'm not going to keep looking at it.
Really? It's that creepy?
No, I mean, it's just like, I don't know. It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
That person had to go through something like that.
Yeah. It's very sad.
I mean, I want to know like how shortly after was the timetable of that person being put in prison for killing someone. Because if that's only like shortly after there, that makes it even worse.
Yeah. I have no idea. Okay.
Ready to get into the next one?
Yes.
And it looks like I'll be doing 2 in a row here. So here's the first one. This is actually my mom's story, who did photography when I was a little girl. She photographed a senior boy by an old train station. She and the boy's mom were talking about how haunted it was and trying to spook the senior. When it came time to edit, my mom took a cutting of a random guest from a wedding she previously photographed, and she put that guest on the senior boy's photo to look like a ghost was watching him from inside the train. Of course, she warned the mom that it was fake, but that boy was spooked when he received his gallery. Also, a shout out to some serious Photoshop skills, because that was not an easy task in 2008.
And that is so funny. That's something my mom would do.
Exactly. No, seriously, that's hilarious.
Just classic prankster. You gotta just give him a little spook. He's too confident, spook him.
Yeah, just cool 18-year-old senior kid, got a lot going for himself. We need to just like humble this kid a little bit, scare him.
That is so funny that like the mom was in cahoots with
the photographer.
That's wild. Like, let's do this together and spook him and put this photo of a random person.
Props to you guys. That's a fantastic prank.
Imagine like how would you pick someone? How do you pick someone that kind of looks like a ghost? Like,
she said it was just a person from a previous wedding
just
that
a person.
She shot. Yeah.
I bet they don't even have to look like a ghost. Just having someone in the background could
crazy
be
uncle from a family photo.
Right.
And put them in the window.
Someone holding a camera. Someone being like, "Hey, what you shooting on?"
Ooh, that's funny.
Okay. Oh, you're reading the next one?
Yep. Here's the next one.
Okay.
The spookiest thing that's ever happened to me in my career is that I witnessed the groom and the groom's mom kissing on the lips during getting ready, and then again multiple times while on the dance floor. I had a phone call with the planner the next day, and she told me that the bride couldn't find her groom at their after party. Turns out he had fallen asleep in between his mom and stepdad in their hotel room, and the mom was texting pictures to the bride. Literally so spooky.
I think we need to clarify the definition of spooky, but yes, that is spooky.
That's just strange is what it is. It's
just funny. Like, why at the reception?
Yeah,
like,
well, why did he fall asleep in between the mom and the stepdad?
Like, is he like over here with his blankie being like, I can't fall asleep without you.
Like, sir, it is your wedding night.
Literally
Go
your
sleep
wedding.
next to your wife.
Oh my gosh, that's so crazy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if have you ever seen any of the stuff with Tom Brady and his kids over the years?
Yeah.
Very similar. Like people
Oh.
roast him all the time for kissing
Oh.
his kids on the lips.
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah. I've actually heard about that.
That's, I mean, I'm not really saying anything that's neither here nor there.
Right. But people just like have things to say about it. Yeah.
Like very public displays of affection with his kids.
Right. I feel like when you turn a certain age, maybe that should stop.
Yeah. I could see it as like a tiny little kid, like being
Right.
cool
Right.
with that, but yeah, you gotta.
Yeah. Like no pecks on the mouth. I don't even care how quick it is. That's, yeah. I don't care. That's just when you're older, like 20,
A grown man.
a grown
kissing his
person.
mom
Yeah.
on the lips.
Yeah. Okay. This story is from my uncle. He was at my grandma's house and she lives in the middle of nowhere on a golf course. There's a lot of trails and it's really pretty. So one morning he decided to go on a walk around the golf course trails and take photos of the landscape. Just overall, like just a button here real quick. The area that my grandma lives, like it's a little eerie, especially like when you go out on the golf course and through these trails, like it's spooky, especially when it's not summertime. Like it feels very like desolate almost. So anyway, one morning he decided to walk around the trails and take photos of the landscape. It was winter at this point and he stumbled upon a creek and this was around 7 a.m. Everything was frosted over on the creek, but there was a really pretty glow on the water. So he decided to stop there and take some photos of the creek. When he got back and he looked at the photos, he noticed that there was a face in the upper right-hand corner of the photo. When you zoom in, it looks just like a bunch of brush and branches and stuff. But if you look at it from far away, you can see the face of a little boy. So this is another photo that I will insert on YouTube. Charlie, if you want to take a look.
No.
You know, this one is a little hard. It's hard to see, but once you see it, it's like you're not unseeing it. Do you see what he's talking about?
It's in the brush on the upper right.
Upper right-hand corner. This right there. If you kind of zoom out, like when you zoom in and look at it, like I said, like it kind of just looks like a bunch of sticks. But when you actually like locate it and look at it, no. Right there. Oh yeah, it is there, but it's to the left. Yeah.
No, it's not to the left. That's the exact spot to him.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I see it.
The more I look at it, the more it really, really does look like a face. Like at first I was like, no, but then like it's the way it like, it's like the whole photo is there and then there's just like a face.
It looks like the Phantom of the Opera mask.
A little bit, yeah. So
like we're talking about right
yeah.
there.
Oh, and now that I see it on your phone, I really see it. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I will not be walking around the woods at my grandma's house anymore. So there we have it.
Interesting.
I believe you have the next one.
Yeah, I've got it. My client and I were walking around the shopping center and taking photos with all the different rustic buildings and florals when we noticed this man following us. He followed us and watched from about 50 feet away for an hour, turning every corner we turned at. I snapped some pics of him just in case, and he finally left us alone.
Spooky. Snapping pics. Very safe. Very conscious of you. Just in case.
I mean, pics on your phone are not going to do you any help if they don't get to someone.
But on your camera.
But what
and
if
then
your phone
if
never
you're going to
makes
die,
it?
swallow your SD card. Is that smart or no?
Swallow your SD card?
Yeah. Like you take pictures of them and then as they're like chasing you or something, you swallow your SD card.
Do you think the coroner would have any reason as to why they would need to cut open your stomach?
I think when they do an autopsy, they like do everything. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know.
You listen to way too much murder mystery stuff.
No, like I think that's just like common knowledge. An autopsy is like looking at everything.
Yeah, but do they always cut open the stomach?
I think so, yeah. I think I don't think they don't usually run like drug tests for everything, and it's not for like every body. It's if you request an autopsy. So like if you're like someone just dies of old age, you don't get not an autopsy on them because you probably know why they died. But an autopsy would be like to figure out like why they died. Yeah. Okay, so I stand by swallowing the SD card.
I don't know if your SD card would even make it, to be real.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think it could be red?
I feel like your stomach acids would
Shoot, yeah, you're right.
Corrode the card.
Okay.
I don't really want to have this debate, I'll be real.
Okay, yeah, okay, you're right. Okay, this one I'm gonna read in my accent. It's about time.
I'm ready.
You ready?
I'm gonna put my phone down and just take it in.
Okay. I was with my grandparents scouting for locations because we had time and nothing much else to do. We were driving around on this back road in the country when my grandma remarked that she knew of a very old cemetery nearby that was very popular for visitors because of its age. She searched it up on Google Maps and it was directing us to it. Strangely enough, every time we'd get to the spot where it said it was located, there was nothing there but a tree row for miles. No large cemetery. We gave up and we were driving home when suddenly maps said that we were at the cemetery. As the car was driving back away from the spot, it kept saying we had reached our destination. But the blue dot was following the car. Needless to say, I've never used any of the locations I found out there because it creeped me out.
Nice.
Thanks. That's the story.
So they were just driving around trying to find the cemetery, and then all of a sudden their thing said that they were at their location.
Yeah, but like they weren't.
There was no something.
Yeah, there was nothing, and like it, as they moved, the dot like kept following them, saying that they were like there. I don't know, technology nowadays.
Is this Google Maps or Apple Maps?
Definitely Apple Maps.
Yeah, it sounds like Apple Maps thing.
For sure. Okay, actually, can I read the next one just in like a normal voice, and then you can do the very last one?
Sure.
Okay. I was hired for a boudoir shoot at a small boutique hotel. The place had a vintage vibe. It was tucked away in a quiet part of town. The session was scheduled for the late afternoon, and we had the entire floor to ourselves. At least that's what we thought. We started shooting in a beautifully decorated room, dimly lit with natural light coming through the old curtains. The client was very relaxed. Everything was going very smoothly. While I was framing a shot, I got a strange sensation that we were being watched. I shrugged it off. It's an intimate type of photography, and sometimes the environment plays tricks on you. As I repositioned the client near the window, I happened to glance outside, and that's when I saw him. A man standing on the fire escape across the alley, staring straight into the room. He didn't even try to hide. Sorry, I lost my place. He didn't even try to hide. He just stood there completely still, watching us through the window. I tried to stay calm and not alarm the client, so I casually closed the curtains and suggested we switch locations in the room. But the feeling did not go away. The whole time I was hyper aware, constantly checking over my shoulder. When I finally packed up and left, I made sure to look around. The man was gone, but the sense of unease lingered. Later, I found out that no one else was supposed to have access to that part of the building, so whoever he was not supposed to be there.
Wow.
Scary.
That's unfortunate.
That's just overall creepy, spooky. Do not be staring at people during their session.
And the fact that he went all the way up through the fire escape.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing, sir? I would have called the cops. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah, that's definitely a cop situation.
Yeah.
Because that means that person was like, how did they know that you were on that floor?
Yeah. It's giving premeditated.
It's giving that they had been tracking those people.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Man.
Okay, one last story to end our spooktacular podcast episode.
That last one was pretty bad.
It was very bad. Like, that one's just a heavy one. That one's not even like, oh, I took a picture of a ghost.
I'm glad you're okay and made it out of your session all right.
Yeah, for real. I honestly would have taken like so many precautions.
Here's the final one. I was taking photos while on a ghost tour in Savannah, Georgia. Pause. Why are we going on ghost tours? What is the purpose of this, and why are you spending your money on that?
Some people like that.
All right, back to it.
Like, obviously, you're going to see ghosts if you go on a ghost tour.
Like, you're looking for trouble. You're going to find it.
But sometimes you go on those tours, you don't really find anything. Like, it's not, Anyway, keep going.
Don't go on ghost tours. The tour guide said, take photos of everything you might catch something. And proceeded to show us various images people had taken in the past. I took a photo of this old building that was turned into a bar, which we were about to go in. A couple months later, I went back to edit the photos I had taken, and in the bottom corner window of the building I took a photo of and went in. I captured what appears to be a man figured with a long beard and glowing eyes. The only person in that building before we entered was the 20-something-year-old bartender that you can see pictured in another window.
Not the glowing eyes. That is enough to spook me right out of this house. What?
Excuse me for the wheeze that you just heard. I guess my asthma is having a hard time right now for reasons I do not know.
Just wheezing right into the mic.
They found what they were looking for.
Yeah. You went on a ghost tour. You saw a ghost.
You got yourself a long bearded man with glowing eyes.
And, Cowboy Cass and Cactus Chuck are not surprised that you done went in there and saw what you needed to see.
How do we know you didn't just have drinks with some old white dude that's got a long beard? And you're just not telling us? Come on.
How did you know no one was in the building?
Did you sweep the building?
Right. Did you, go into every single closet and every single room? But I will say, do normal people have glowing eyes? This is a new thing. I have not heard this about ghosts having glowing eyes. Maybe they were wearing flashlights for glasses.
Sometimes when the sun hits my eyes perfectly, my eyes glow.
Some might say I have glowing eyes as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's called a healthy glow. It's called just, having beautiful brown eyes.
And I'm wearing contacts today, so they're nice and golden.
Right. You are glowing. Your eyes are definitely glowing. Now, do you have long hair and a beard? And are you haunting the bar?
I don't.
Yeah. So, that wraps up our episode. That was definitely spooky. But like we said, you went on a ghost tour, so I feel like you had that one coming for you.
They were trying.
But I'm sure you were awfully satisfied with that result. And you should frame it, put it in your house, and see if you can get that ghost to come back to you. And live in your house with you.
Oh my word. What are we talking about? I think it's time to wrap this episode up.
Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoyed this spooky episode. I will, if you made it this far in the episode, I will say we had other Halloween costumes planned, guys, but they didn't arrive in time. So that's why we were wearing our murder mystery costumes. But I wanted to really do something special. I had it all planned, and then shipping times, man, it just got to me. So we'll see you guys next week.
In my humble opinion, you look mighty fine.
Thank you. Also, let us know in the comments who has the best Southern accent, just like in your opinion, because it's always a competition.
I don't claim to have a good Southern accent, so just know if you're flaming me in the comments for my Southern accent, I 100% agree with you. So don't try to prove a point that's already proven.
Charlie's never been known for his accents, but that's okay. That is totally okay. Thank you guys for listening to this week's episode of Oh Shoot. I will see you next week for another episode. Have an amazing rest of your day.